I'm going to be completely honest with you. I don't think you have the slightest idea of what your potential is. I think you're using maybe 10 to 20% of your potential right now because you have no idea what you're capable of. And the reason you don't know why you have any idea what you're capable of is the same reasons that I didn't when I was young. So, when I was young, my whole drive in life, my motivations were not tied to how can I make myself better and increase my self-esteem. It was how can I shape myself so that more people like me and I'm more accepted and validated by other people. And when that's your primary motivation, it's not really about seeing how far you can take your skills. It's more about just how do I appear the best that I possibly can and get accepted by more people so that I feel like my worth is high, but really it's only going to be tied to other people. And if you are like this, if you're constantly seeking validation from others, it's likely you'll resonate with my story. When I was a kid, teenager, we didn't really value our grades too much. Like that's not really what separated the cool kids from the not cool kids. It was more so like, how many girls are you talking to? How much are you drinking? How much are you smoking? And maybe how good you are at sports, which you could say is like testing your potential limits to an extent. And I think that is where I was really growing as a person. Most of my adolescence was sports without even realizing like what I was doing. I was kind of just forced to because I liked playing sports, but it wasn't really a question of how far can I really push myself in this thing. It was just, I want to be the best so that I feel more accepted and validated. And when you're in that frame of mind, you basically put your potential on the back burner at all times because you maybe didn't receive the love that would have made you feel like you have worth from other people. And you were taught at a young age that if other people don't accept you, if other people aren't giving you encouragement, then, well, you're not really worth anything because the voice inside of you is not believable, especially when you're a kid. It's just you don't have any sort of skills built up. And due to that, when you hear that voice that tries to push you and encourage you, it just feels like fake. And it especially feels fake when you are constantly getting confirmation from external sources about how you're not good enough. And those reinforce the belief that you'll never be good enough. And so you try and try so hard to prove the beliefs wrong of other people. Maybe you really start trying hard in your classes, or you start trying really hard in sports or something, or you try improving your appearance to be liked by other people. And if that doesn't work, like it didn't work for me, because despite trying, my grades weren't good. One quarter it was like 8th grade English, I failed English class. Like that's how poorly I was doing. And my parents are telling me, why aren't you trying? Why aren't you doing better? Like they just didn't understand. And in sports, I was never like the best person in a sport. I was just kind of above average in a decent amount of sports, despite being, pretty tall, pretty lean, just never the absolute best on any of my teams. And then with friends, it always felt like, I don't know, there's like group leaders in friend groups, but I just felt pushed around by other people, especially friends. And that's partly due to my fault. It's because I couldn't stand up for myself. I didn't respect myself. I cared more about other people accepting me into their group or just saying like someone saying something good about me behind my back. Like I wanted that to be the case. And when you are giving off that sort of energy, well, you're never going to demand the respect you want, because it's clear that if you're trying so hard to be liked and accepted, that you're never going to be the person that demands that respect. And so with friends, with grades, actually grades were a little below average. with friends, with grades, with sports, with whatever I tried to do, it was always average. And so I really got this belief drilled into me that I'm going to be average for the rest of my life. That if I go to college, my grades are going to be average. If I get a job, it's going to be an average job, whatever. Everything up until that point in my life, it proved to me that I was going to be average. And so how could I have possibly thought otherwise? And I basically accepted that at a certain point. I'm like, I don't think I'm going to break through this threshold of grades, of money, of status, of whatever vanity metrics you chase as a teenager or as a young adult. And I was just like, okay, well, that's fine. But then a couple things changed and I unlocked something. Something unlocked within me that hadn't been there for the first 20-something years of my life. And I can't exactly pinpoint why it happened. Some chance scenarios, coming across a few YouTube videos, finally getting some sort of external validation that wasn't, well, you're just some guy, and was rather a positive, inspirational message, which I never got for the first 20 years of my life. Like, maybe I did. Maybe my parents tried to tell me how smart I was or whatever, or how capable I was of doing more in school or my career or anything else outside of me. But I just wouldn't listen to them because, I love my parents, but your parents say some stuff that they don't realize is going to hurt you. And that ends up becoming more believable than the positive stuff they tell you. But finally, like I said, this unlocked within me. A few YouTube videos I read, my first self-help book was Tools of Titans by Tim Ferriss. And just a couple things were needed for me to realize I could actually do something more with my life. I don't have to keep going to office hours and pretending like I give a shit about this computer science assignment in college and just letting the TA do all the work for me. I could actually figure stuff out myself. I could actually pursue something that I care about so deeply that even though it will bring me struggle and suffering, I'm going to choose to push through this because I have the capability to push through this thing. And as soon as I started unlocking just a few of those beliefs, my entire life snowballed. And now I have this YouTube channel and my main YouTube channel, which is a lot bigger than this one. I'm married. I'm financially stable. It's like all the things I thought, I don't know if I'm ever going to get to this point. They did all happen just because of a few unlocks. And I want to tell you what you could do to start believing that you can do more with your life. And I know this sounds all inspirational and positive and self-helpy. Well, sorry. Sometimes that message is really powerful. And I don't want you, if you're watching this video thinking, I'm never going to surmount great things in life, I'm never going to overcome my struggles. This is the message for you, because I promise you, I was probably in the exact same position as you, thinking that nothing was going to change, and everything changed. Firstly, and this is probably the most important thing, is because of those few videos and a couple books that I read, I completely shifted what I would focus on. So instead of only focusing on negative stimuli that was produced in my environment, I slowly started to ask myself, and this was subconsciously, but this is how you can do it consciously. I slowly asked myself, what about this can I extract something positive from, as stupidly fucking cliche as that is? So I'll give you an example. It was the start of my YouTube career, and I had just edited and produced my very first video on my main channel, and it got 100 views. And I got some positive feedback from my friends, some other people who I knew from high school or just in my city made fun of me as well. But it just deflected off of me because I knew what my mission was now. And I said to myself, okay, well, I've gotten this positive feedback. This got objectively low views on YouTube. I got 50, 100 views. But what is something I can take away from this? I posted my first video. I did the thing that I wanted to do since I was a kid, and I took it seriously and actually produced a video on YouTube where the intention was to grow a channel. And this is what I want you to do. But also, on top of that, journaling and focusing on the mini wins in every single day. That's what you got to do. So I would journal like things I'm grateful for every morning, but also, at the end of each day, think about and just ask yourself, what are the few things that I can extract that I'm glad got done today? Or just how can I view these things in a more positive light that leads to me wanting to grow and prosper in the future? And you will be surprised when you answer that question that there are way more things that you could have focused on in your day that are actually fueling your self-worth instead of diminishing it. The second thing is also like a mental reframe. You have to change your perspective on struggling, on suffering. I saw it as completely meaningless when I was a kid for the first 20 years of my life. If something made me struggle or suffer and I didn't get a good reward from it, well, what's the point, right? And actually, this is where I want to add something in, is like, we need rewards for the juice we are squeezing. The juice has to be worth the squeeze in any area of life. I think this is why a lot of us get attached to video games when we're younger, because progress is very linear, and for the efforts you put in, you're almost always going to get a reward from it. So like if you train to defeat that boss, you are going to get the upgrade of a sword from that boss. But life is not as linear with its progression, and you could try very hard in something and yet get nothing for it. Get absolutely nothing for it. Well, you have to fall in love with that process of suffering. And then if you can't guarantee a reward from that thing, you kind of have to create your own. So let's say you wanted to set the goal of like working out 3 times a week. Maybe after a few workouts, like a great part about lifting is you're almost always going to see results when you first start off with newbie gains. And that's going to be really motivating, seeing your body level up. But if you're not seeing a lot of those results yet, after every workout, you reward yourself somehow. You count this as a win. You're like, I did this despite it causing some struggle and suffering and pain in my body. I overcame that. I overcame that experience. And that reward could be something like, playing your favorite video game, going out to eat with friends, whatever it is. You kind of have to give yourself an incentive to come back to the struggle. Because if it's not yet producing the rewards you want, like most things don't when you first start off in them, whether it's YouTube, any other career work, it takes a few years of experience before you might even get a job, before you start having an easier time with relationships. You first have to suck at them and make a ton of mistakes, and that is an unavoidable process. During the time where you're not seeing any rewards, you have to create your own rewards, and that's how you stay motivated. And then on top of that, changing your perspective on struggling and suffering. I don't know. I didn't have this perspective before, and that's why I'm saying like you can develop this perspective no matter who you are, because I didn't give a shit about myself when I was a kid, and I didn't care about struggling. But suffering is absolutely, it sucks, okay? But suffering is an absolutely necessary part of life if you want to greaten, is that a word? If you want to enhance your potential, if you want to get higher up in the potential hierarchy, suffering is necessary. It just is. Like, you're going to fail, you're going to make mistakes, you're going to hurt yourself probably, you're going to injure yourself maybe if you're just starting out lifting and you don't yet understand how to do proper form, or you're trying to get better at running. Like, during the process of doing the thing, lifting the weights, writing the script and having to stay focused without scrolling every 5 seconds, like that shit is suffering, man. Like that shit is hard. There is no escaping that. There's no way around that. And you have to fall in love with that feeling, as dark and twisted as it sounds. It's like if you can fall in love with that feeling, that's where you start to separate yourself from your old self and also from most people, because modern life especially is just filled with a plethora of comforts, and it's so easy to escape suffering. But if you dive into that and hug it and and fondle the suffering, I don't know where I'm going with this. If you do that without needing a reward but creating your own reward anyway, your life is going to change completely. And yes, it is important to focus, to know what the right things are to focus on, because you could put in a ton of work for years. And because you didn't know what to focus on, you might see no objective, like considerable progress in that thing. Like someone could go to the gym and not push themselves hard enough, not know how to push themselves hard enough, and they wouldn't see nearly as much gains as the guy who does great form and is progressively overloading. So, of course, that's a skill in and of itself, but that's not really what this video is about. It's not about knowing what to focus on, but rather just building up the tenacity and mindset to actually want to do difficult things. Now, once you are starting to focus on the more positive things that are happening in each day, and then you fall in love with the process of suffering to complete something. If you do that long enough, then something is going to change within you. Like, there's no chance something doesn't change within you if you build the habit of falling in love with the suffering and focusing on the small daily wins every single day and what you can control, and then actively choosing to go on that path of this person who has so much potential and whose identity is so much different from who you are now, but is a much greater identity, more positive identity. Like, there's no chance in hell you don't come out of that after a couple years a completely changed person. So this is what happened to me. I started focusing on those things. I fell in love with this process of just showing up, doing the work basically every single day, and thinking to myself, this feels like it's challenging. Yeah, it's a lot of struggle, but like I am seeing a bit of progress. I do feel, and because I'm taking note of what I'm doing that's a win in each day, I feel like the progress is coming. And eventually, you are going to say to yourself, I can't believe how much I'm actually capable of. I cannot believe that I ever thought that I couldn't do the things I'm doing right now, or that I wasn't cut out for it. It all lies in just shifting a few beliefs that were created in you when you were a child through negative feedback from your parents, your mentors, your peers. They said certain things to you. You believed them because you didn't really have any inner voice to guide you at that point. And everybody tells you to stand up straight, listen to other people, obey. And when you realize that was all beliefs instilled into you from other people, and you do this, oh my God, dude. Like, I cannot begin to explain to you how possible it is for you to do that career move that you want to do, to take that risk you want to take, to find that partner you want to find, to build the body you want. I swear to God, for 95% of you watching this video, you can get there through just a few shifts. And I know this because that was me. I was, let's say, destined to be average. I thought I was. And I reinforced that belief that I was destined to be average. And therefore, because those were my most instilled beliefs within me, I focused on things that would reinforce that belief in my environment. I paid less attention to opportunities. I saw suffering as annoying and just something I didn't want to do. And I had low self-esteem. And then it all changed because of this. It is an absolute privilege to challenge yourself and suffer through something you chose. Voluntary suffering. And just a shift in that perspective, that's all it takes. Voluntary suffering, that's what I wish I used earlier on in this video, but I want to explain those concepts more as the protagonist in my novel progresses through his story, which I'm in the middle of writing. If you don't know this, I'm writing a novel about a 21-year-old who lives in a post-pandemic world, the world we're living in right now, who goes through this really tragic loss and develops the ability to see into a parallel reality. If you want to get updates as I'm writing it, you can join my newsletter, linked in the description. And if you just need some extra motivation like this video every weekend, and you want to get a step-by-step process on how to create that identity that will lead to the highest potential version of yourself, which does exist in this reality. It can exist in this reality with just a few changes, like I said. Then you can join my self-mastery school. We meet in a video call every weekend, discuss ideas like this. That is linked in the description as well. And I really hope you do something after watching this video.